All right, I'm gonna call to order the June 11th, 2025 Code Compliance Hearing Meeting. My name is Hayward Dykes. I'll be the special magistrate hearing the cases today. At this time, if you can, please rise and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. I've signed the minutes from April and May. Are there any announcements regarding the agenda for today? All right. Oh. Number 9, 2501188. Mark Hennigan is a property owner. And what's the request? That be removed? Okay. Is anybody here on that case? Right, not seeing anybody. So county's requesting removal. With no objection, we'll go ahead and remove that from the agenda. All right. Is there anything else as far as the agenda goes? Any other cases? All right. If not, we'll go ahead and call the, well, let me do this first. If everybody who's here for a case or plans to testify or present evidence today, if you'll please stand, I'll go ahead and swear everybody in at one time. You'll raise your right hand. Do you all swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, thank you. All right, our first case is CE 25-01197. The property owner is listed as Felipe Viela. The address is 85 South 11th Street in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida. Is anybody here on that case for the property owner? Okay, I don't see anybody standing. That's not it. Let me find my stuff. Here. Just 1 second. All right, whenever you're ready.
All right, my name is Uriel Baza, Walton County Code Compliance Officer. For the record, I am submitting my final summary case report and testimony in regards to case number CE-25-01197. The property is located at 85 11th Street, Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, 32459. Parcel number is 22 2S 331-20-118-0040. Property owner is Felipe Vilela. This property is in the unincorporated area of Walton County and is subject to the Land Development Code Chapter 7 and the county ordinances. Violations cited are 1.13.09F, clearing permit, and 7.02.03, dilapidated structure. Complaint came in on February 23rd, 2025. New owners are clearing lot and trees. I conducted my initial inspection on February 23rd, 2025, where I noticed clearing of vegetation on the property with a dilapidated mobile home also on the property. I contacted the property owner from a for sale sign posted on the property. He stated that he was not aware of the clearing permit requirements. He also informed me that no one is living in the mobile home and is working on removing it from the property. At the time, I posted a stop work order to prevent any further clearing. On February 25th, 2025, I posted a notice of violation on the property and mailed certified to the property owner's mailing address. On March 24th, 2025, I spoke to Rafael, who stated he is working with the property owner to purchase the property. I informed him of the code case and the required actions to come into compliance. I provided an extension so he could work with the planning department to get the property into compliance. On May 7th, 2025, I conducted a follow-up inspection. No permits have been applied for and the mobile home is still at the property. Several attempts were made by email to obtain an update on the violations, but I did not get any response. On May 27th, 2025, a notice of hearing was posted at the property and mailed certified. The following day, the notice of hearing was posted at the South Walton Courthouse. On June 3rd, 2025, I was able to speak to Raphael, who stated he was still waiting to hear from the planning on what would be required as to the clearing. I reached out to Brad Bond in the planning department, who stated after consulting with the planning director that the clearing appears to be fairly minimal, and that once the mobile home is removed, the cleared area needs to be stabilized with sod. Raphael was copied on that email provided by Brad. Photos in your package show the initial inspection and pre-hearing conditions with violations still existing. I would like to submit my packet into evidence.
All right, that'll be accepted into evidence. I didn't see anybody come in, so I don't assume anybody is coming for Mr. Viela. What's staff's recommendation on this?
The recommendation is 30 days to remove the dilapidated mobile home and restabilize the affected areas. $200 per day fine to accrue if not done within the time, and there's an $88 administrative fee also.
So is the clearing permit still needed after what you testified planning said that it was minimal?
No, clearing permit is not required, but he is required to remove that dilapidated mobile home and then restabilize the area that was cleared with some sod.
All right, so the only violation then we're here for today is 7.02.03 dilapidated structures, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, anything else? Officer Bays?
I guess a question on that, would it be in violation if he doesn't restore it as required?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's, I guess he is required to restore it after he does remove that mobile home.
So would that be a requirement? I mean, I guess my question is, it sounds like he cleared, or it appears from the testimony and evidence, he cleared part of the property.
Mm-hmm.
Planning has said that there would not be a clearing permit issued, and the only thing that remains would be the dilapidated structure.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't stabilize the property, then would that just not be a new code case, or what? I don't know.
The restoration, Mike Lynch, Code Compliance Manager, the restoration would be the sod. I mean, they could have required plants, shrubbery, things like that. So they're not requiring him to actually obtain a permit, but they are requiring him to do a restoration of sod. So that's not going to be something that he's going to have to submit a plan, get approval. He is just going to have to plant the sod. So I think as far as the final order, if it just states that sod must be applied to the cleared area once the mobile home has been removed, that's something that we can hold him accountable for.
I guess my thought is, do I even have authority to do that? Is that something in the code? Because the idea would be, if he doesn't have a clearing permit and he needed one, then I can say, yes, you're in violation of the code because the code says you must obtain a clearing permit. But the testimony was planning isn't going to require him to apply and seek a clearing permit, because part of the clearing permit might be, hey, we'll issue the clearing permit, but you have to put sod on the ground. So that was my question, was whether or not both violations are still in play. If planning says, yeah, cite him, he's going to have to apply for a clearing permit. We won't issue him one, but we'll issue him an order we'll issue him a clearing permit as approved with the condition that he needs to put sod out. That's what I was trying to ascertain was, do I even, are we here for both of those, or are we here for one of those? And it sounded like earlier the testimony was, well, he's not even being required to apply for a clearing permit. He's only being requested to put in the sod. So what's the enforcement mechanism if he doesn't put in the sod? I don't know that I've got authority to just start telling people to put salt on the ground, or how much. That's not, I don't know how much. That would be planning to tell the property owner.
Yeah, they've kind of put that on us to try to fix that. But I think what they were trying to do is because the clearing that was done was so minimal. Normally, south of the bay, you would have to have development order and put a structure or some sort of domicile on the property to be able to clear. I think in this case, they were just trying to seek the easiest remedy for the property owner and just telling him to plant sod. But if they're saying that he won't be required to do a restoration, I think he's still in violation of the clearing without a permit.
Right, but if he's in violation of clearing without a permit, and you've heard from planning, they're not gonna require him, I mean, there would be no way for him to solve the lack of a permit, because it's planning saying you don't even have to apply for a permit, just put some sod down. So I'm trying to square how he could even say, hey, I put sod down, and then them say, well, that's not enough sod. There's no, he can't, sounds to me like he can't even apply for a permit to resolve the issue. Resolving the issue sounds, from planning's perspective, to be put down sod, but how much sod, all those types of questions aren't answered. So,
But what we can do is we can address we can go at the mobile home, and if planning isn't satisfied with, if he doesn't, we'll recommend that he put the sod down as per planning. If he doesn't, then he can take that up with planning. If they're not going to require the permit, or if they're going to say that because it was minimal, they're not going to require that, then
no, and I think that's how and that's what I'm leaning to be quite honest, is because if planning's saying, yeah, if he shows up asking for a clearing permit, we're not going to process it because you don't really need it, just go put some sod down. Okay, well, what if he doesn't? Okay, what's our enforcement mechanism other than you didn't do what we asked you to do? It's not, you didn't get a permit, because that's the violation of the code. You didn't get a permit, and then now you got to go restore the property. So I think you may need to get some clarification from planning and say, hey, that puts us in a pickle, because the magistrate, how can we enforce something that isn't in the code? Because the code, point to me in the code where it says I can order people to put down sod. No, it would be, hey, that's part of a restoration plan because you didn't get your permit, right? So, or even if you had a permit, maybe you went outside of the confines of what the permit allows, and now you got to come back and go restore the property.
We'll clarify that in the future.
Yeah, that's fine. I just, the way the evidence was presented, it seems as though Mr. Viela, if I'm pronouncing that right, if we cite him for that and I find him in violation, I don't even know what his mechanism would be other than, hey, I put down sod, you didn't tell me how much, there's no plan, I don't need a permit, what am I violating? So I'm trying to see how can the property owner even cure, because that's part of what we're here to do, is have the property owners cure a violation. So I don't know what sounds like the cure is to put some sod down, but how much sod, and we're at on the property, but that's planning's going to have to tell us all that. So, all right, anything else? All right.
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. At this time, I'll close the evidence portion. I'll make the following findings of fact and conclusions of law. I'll find that the property, parcel ID number 22 S2 2033 120 118 0040 is in the unincorporated area of Walton County, Florida, and is therefore subject to the Walton County Land Development Code. Based on the testimony and evidence presented, I do find that there is a violation on the property, specifically a violation of 7.02.03, dilapidated structures. Based on staff's recommendation, I will find that the property must be brought into compliance within 30 days. That's going to be July. I'm sorry? Okay. So on or before July 11th. Property is not brought into compliance on or before July 11th, a $200 per day fine will be imposed. In addition to the fine, there's an $88 administrative fee that will need to be paid also within 30 days. And I will advise code, I didn't put anything on here that they have to put sod or anything under others, so it's just the fine and the administrative fee.
Understood.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next case is CE 25-01310. Property owner is listed as Tri-State Christian Fellowship Incorporated. You have a representative here for? All right. And what's your name, sir? John, Mr. Dixon?
Board members, yes, sir.
All right. And Mr. Dixon, what we'll do is if you want to grab a seat right over there and then I'll let the county present. You can ask any questions of Officer Neenan after she presents her case and provides her testimony, and then I'll give you an opportunity to speak and present any evidence you want me to consider, all right?
For the record, I'm Officer Rachel Neenan, Walton County Code Compliance. For the record, I'm submitting my final summary case report and testimony in regards to case number 25-01310. The property is located at 100 Christian Camp Road, Defuniak Springs, Florida 32433. Parcel number 19-3 North 19-19-000-006-0010. Tri-State. The property owner is Tri-State Christian Fellowship Incorporated. This property is in an unincorporated area of Walton County and is subject to the Land Development Code, Chapter 7, and the county ordinances. The violations cited are 1.13.00 development approvals and 1.13.09C building permits. The complaint came in on March 24th of 2025, as this property has numerous construction projects going on. If you look on their Facebook page, you will see buildings being expanded, roofs being built over trailers and trailers being installed, and other work being performed. On March 25th of 2025, I conducted my initial inspection and found multiple buildings in the construction phase, multiple RV spots, semi-trailers, several updated buildings, a pool area, a basketball court, and a residential home. I issued a stop work order and a notice of violation on March 25th of 2025. I called and spoke to Randy after the property was posted and explained to him the violations cited. On April 2nd of 2025, Code Compliance Supervisor King received a phone call from Misty that works with the Florida Department of Health. Misty had conducted an inspection of the property and verified that while the camp does have state permits for septic tanks and permits for 6 RV sites on the property, some of the RVs have been moved and hooked up to a septic tank that had been approved for cabins. Due to this change, they technically were not in compliance with their permits for DEP, and that she would be referring the case to DEP, who handles septic tank permits. Misty advised that the RV sites are only approved based on the campsite, meaning they cannot be rented year-round, only 3 months out of the year. Misty said that Randy advised her that he was not allowing people that were helping him with the camp to stay, were only allowing people that were helping him with the camp to stay, and that they were not renting RV sites at the camp, or at, to the public, I'm sorry. On April 23rd of 2025, I found that a pre-application meeting had been applied for, and it was held on May 15th of 2025. On May 16th of 2025, a notice of hearing was completed as prescribed by code. Photos in your packet show the initial inspection with violations. And since then, I have not been able to get another inspection done just because it's not viewable from the public right-of-way, and the gate had been closed. I'd like to submit my packet into evidence. I'd also kind of like, do you want me to go ahead and go through the exhibits that I have in the binder for you?
Sure.
Okay. Exhibit 1 is the initial inspection and the stop work order. So it shows the activity shelter that has been built, the maintenance shop, a modular home that's under construction, a semi-trailer with some kind of vehicle. I don't know if that's a tree cutting truck. I'm not sure. There was signage for future development of the family outpost, RV sites, more RV sites, cabins, pole barn, basketball court, and the pool area. There's also a picture of the staff housing and the residential home, and then a copy of your stop work order, of the stop work order. Next is the Exhibit 2 is the notice of violation with all corresponding documents for certified mail and postings. Exhibit 3 is your notice of hearing, which it also has all of the documentation as prescribed by code. Exhibit 4 is your building permits. From what I could find, there was a notice of commencement that was found, dating back 1990 for the, construction of the pool, the maintenance building, and the installation of HVAC in 4 buildings. And then another notice of commencement in 1994 for the staff dormitory. I could not find the approved building permits for either one of those, just the notice of commencements. The next is the email from Lisa Day, trying to locate all of the permits that were approved through the building department. And she was only able to locate the 3 that are behind that email. It's a certificate of occupancy in 2005 for the staff dorms, and a completed and approved standalone electrical permit, which is for the workshop, a fire hood suppression permit, which has not been completed, that was applied for in 2023. Exhibit 5 is the 2007 staff report. That staff report, they were applying for improvements to the existing camp to include the dining hall, cabins, mini retreat center, multi-purpose building, adult retreat center, welcome center, RV park, and 2 other residential homes for staff. They started the process but never completed it. Your next exhibit is the staff report for 2023, which was also the same boat. They were applying for the expansion to the existing dining hall and construction of a pole barn, which was also started and never completed. Same with 2024 staff report. They applied for construction of a 60 by 100 pole barn, and it was never completed.
When you say never completed,
They started the process, but never, everything that the things that planning were requesting, they never
responded
gave the
back with
appropriate documentation.
Okay, so planning, they would put in the application through planning would review it, submit requests for additional information or additional documentation that might be required for them to finalize their review of the development order.
Correct.
And then there would be no response.
Correct.
Okay, and then what happens with those? They just go dormant, or they just close them out after a certain period of time?
They go dormant at that point.
Okay, go ahead.
Exhibit, sorry, mine's not in a binder like yours. Exhibit 8 is the Facebook post in 2021 showing all the changes that have occurred over the last 4 years. They converted a office space into an apartment with no permits. They have a archery shelter under a pole barn with no permits. More pictures of the old office, changed into an apartment as part of the staff building. There's a large 4-bedroom director's home and 2-bedroom cottage where the camp director used to live. And that kitchen and everything has been renovated with no permits. The clearing for the new maintenance shop. The RV sites that are not permitted. The electrical and water ran from the cottage house to the maintenance area and then over to the RV sites, which is unpermitted. More clearing. Exhibit 9 is the Facebook post of 2022. It's the cleared lot for the dining hall addition, which is not permitted. Semi-trailers that were bringing things for the cabins. The patio and sidewalk, which I'm not sure to actually even need a permit, but that's just showing more stuff that was added. Sidewalks. This is renovations to the staff dormitories that originally did have permits, but now have post-permit changes, which is, I mean, they've added more roof and things to those.
I'm sorry, say that again? They have permits for?
They have a permit for the staff dormitories, but those have been since renovated as well. so they would need to be re-permitted.
So the renovations would require a new permit for the
Correct, yes, sir.
renovations? And that's just based, because you haven't been in those, that's just based on the photographs you've seen?
Correct, yes, sir.
All right.
This is 3 modular units that were brought in, also without permits, that will serve as the clubhouse, bathhouse, and laundry room and game room for the RVers. Reconstruction of cabin 5. Reconstruction of the old maintenance shop. More progress to cabin 5. Moving on to exhibit 10, which is Facebook post of 2023. This is the semi-trailer that is now connected to the maintenance shop. I believe they used the Connex box that was on the back of, or the semi-trailer box. That is now like a room that is added on to the maintenance shop, which is also not permitted. This is installing the more working at the new maintenance shop area, the basketball court, the new 100 by 60 recreation shelter that they attempted to get approval for, but then continued to build without permits.
Okay, I can see that. Go to, what about the one that has the gentleman who's working on the electrical? Was a permit or inspection done for that?
The one on March 22nd of 2023. That's just the electrical that is being permitted, or that's not permitted there. Unless that's the standalone, I was just pulling all of the pictures to show the progress of development that's occurred there without permits.
Okay. I mean, obviously, there would be a life safety issue if you have someone who's not a licensed electrician doing electrical work, you know,
Correct.
for a pool and a cabin, so that would
And it
raise some
does say
concern.
that Mike and his wife Nora overhauled to electrical from cabin 4 to the pool. So I'm assuming that would also be running electrical without permits, because they only have one standalone permit, and I believe that was for the maintenance shop when that was getting taken care of. I'm not quite sure which permit that one is for,
Okay.
but it was electrical for the workshop, so I'm assuming this is not the one they were talking about.
All right.
So it keeps on going and going
Yeah,
and going.
I see that. You got some other Facebook posts?
Yes, all the
right.
way up until this year. Exhibit 13 is the detailed activity report. And then Exhibit 14 is the billable fees. And then at the very back of it is the pre-application meeting that was held on May 15th of 2025.
So there has been a pre-app meeting
Correct, yes, sir, with Eric Shealy.
that was done this past May. Okay.
Do what, I'm sorry?
No,
Did you-
I was just
okay.
speaking to myself. All right. Mr. Dixon, do you have any questions for Officer Neenan at this time? Okay. Officer Neenan, then you can go ahead and take a seat. Mr. Dixon, if you don't mind, yeah, come on up to the podium. I mean, if it's easier for you to sit there, we got a mic, you can do that. Most people want to come up to the podium. This will be your opportunity to present any evidence or testimony you wish for me to consider.
Well, our organization is obviously behind the times, and
Thank you. We record these.
yes, sir.
There you go.
Our organization is obviously behind the times. We've had a succession of camp directors that, when they saw a need, they just addressed the need. I have recently been added to the board because I am here locally, and so to help move and navigate through what we need to do to become code compliant. As soon as these things, we were made aware of them, we engaged with Precision Permits to begin the process of taking us through the planning and permitting. Started that immediately. That's Mrs. Amber McDonald. She would be here today, but unfortunately she's down with COVID. So I'm going to try and give you the thumbnail sketch of where we're at based on my understanding from her and my meetings with her. So we've met with the county and planning. They've given us a list of the things that need to be accomplished. We've addressed those things that we could right off the bat. One was the FDEP and the permitting for the septic system. That's been permitted, inspected, and approved by FDEP. So we were able to get that wrapped up relatively quickly. As far as where we are, we have to have a survey, and we've had a very difficult time. We thought that we would be able to have a surveyor out pretty quickly. We've had a very difficult time finding a surveyor that would be willing to take the 47 acres and do the full survey there. We have one that is considering it, and we're waiting on a price and whether or not they're going to do it. The other is we need somebody to help us take us through the development order as far as an engineering firm is concerned, and we're waiting on a proposal to come back from a company called JP Engineering. I don't know them. It was recommended by Mrs. McDonald. She talked to several different companies, whether it was survey companies or engineering companies, and they one after the other stated that they were busy and covered up and that sort of thing. So right now we're at a point where we're just trying to find somebody that will come out and do the work. So the survey is first, along with doing it at the same time, getting the engineering company to start taking care of this process. I think we have a plan moving forward, and we have a list of documents and actions that have been taking place. As for access to the camp, the county has access to the camp anytime they need to. When we have campers there, we lock the gate. It's part of our insurance and obligations there for that. However, there's a second entrance to the camp over by the director's house. Okay, yeah, just come on down 100. Going around the curve at Peacock Road, and you come up, you're right at the director's house, and he's if not there, then somebody's there. So if you need to get in, also there's should be a sign on the gate for a phone number to call for the access code to get in. So whenever you need that, but if you go around to the house, the director's house, going around the curve and in, the director's house is right there. That's the access that they typically come in and out on. So as far as compliance, we're doing everything that we can to make things right. We have no excuse. When the camp was started 50 years ago with the board, some of those members are the original members, and I can only throw myself at the mercy of the court and tell you that it was well-meaning people that did a lot of work over the years, and they did their best to do things right, but in the end, a lot of little things have added up to a mass of infractions. And so we want to have all those corrected because we want to live in a way in front of the community that's appropriate for what we do. So I would ask this, if there's any way that we could request time to be able to get these things done. I know Ms. McDonald has told me that there's a point where we have to do a posting for 3 months as part of this process, where signs have to be up for hearings. And so I don't know how that process works. Y'all would be better versed on it than I am. And I would just ask if there's a way that we could gain as much time as possible so that we could get this corrected as quickly as possible for us.
No, I understood. Sounds like you are working towards a solution or trying to get there.
Yes, sir.
And not surprised about the survey. I know I had trouble. I needed a survey, and it's tough finding people.
The other thing that we've done is we've engaged with Mr. Jeff Miller, who's a licensed general contractor in the county, and he's bent over backwards to help us, and not physically on the property, but to to help us chart a course. He was the guy that put us in contact with Mrs. McDonald. And he's offered his services whenever it's appropriate that the county gives us permission to move forward on any kind of corrective measures that might be identified on the physical structures.
Do you know if there's been any more construction on the property since the stop work order's been issued?
No, sir, there's been no more construction, but there was one thing that was done. A tarp was placed over the roof. There were three modular trailers that had belonged to the county that were given to us. We moved it out there, and they were leaking. And so after the stop work order, the next day they went out and just put a tarp over the top. That is the only physical construction work of any kind that's been done.
And is it my understanding, or is my understanding correct? Do you currently have campers out on property?
Yes, sir.
I mean, as far as,
Yes, sir.
maybe not right this second, but you do invite campers out? Okay.
Yes, sir. The camp's been in operation for 50 years, so.
Yeah, and like I mentioned while Officer Neenan was presenting her case in chief, was just, some of the concerns that those electrical systems are properly inspected and permitted. That way, heaven forbid we have an accident out there or something.
Well, I know when they have added things, they've gotten permits and gone through Chelco.
Okay.
So anything that was added with, to my understanding, was with Chelco putting the panels.
Right, but what I'm getting at is, Chelco may put the power from the transformer to the panel, but then then it becomes the electrician or the property
Right,
owner's
yes, sir.
responsibility.
And they had an electrical contractor that pulled the permit for for that work, I know.
Well, yeah, and if you have permits and you've provided them to the county or can show the county or you got them from the county, that's fine. I mean, like I
Yes, sir.
said, that's just one of those health safety issues that,
Yes, sir.
can become an issue. All right, Officer Neenan, do you have any questions for, I'm sorry, Mr. Dixon? Okay. All right, Mr. Dixon, you can grab a seat. All right, what's staff's requesting on this? Or recommendation?
Because it's gonna be a major development, I believe it's 90 days, which is the most we can ask for to achieve compliance, or $250 per day fine to accrue, and a $98 admin fee.
All right. Mr. Dixon, you heard the county's recommendation. They're requesting the maximum amount of time, which would be 90 days, for you to bring or for the Tri-State Christian Fellowship Incorporated to bring the property into compliance. I'm not under any illusion that this is probably not going to be brought into compliance within 90 days. However, that's essentially the max I'm allowed to give under the code. Do you have any questions on that? I mean, understanding I don't have authority to start saying I want to give more than that.
I understand that. I don't know. From what we've been planning, we require close to meeting, that's 3 months.
All right.
So there's no way for us to come into compliance that quick, because it would be, honestly, very difficult for us, because we don't.
Understood.
So what I would ask, is there a way that it may not be a complete time? Is there a way to push back into this?
Oh, well, what'll happen is, based on what they've requested and what generally occurs, is there would be no fines that accumulate until after the 90 days. So the 90 days is basically a block of time for you to try to do what you can, get as far as you can. And I understand, and I think staff will agree, you're not going to get this done in 90 days.
Not with the manual.
No, not especially if this is going to be considered a major development order, and you're gonna have to post and advertise and likely go in front of the Board of County Commissioners. And I guess my question then to Officer Neenan is, in the event that I issue an order, would the outstanding order be an impediment for them to proceed forward through planning?
Not
Okay.
if it's a correction to get everything into compliance, no.
All right. All right, and then the only other thing I'll mention, and staff can go in more detail about this, offline, so to speak, you know, is, Mr. Dixon there is a mechanism or procedure in which, once the property is brought into compliance, in the event a property owner, whether it's you know, Tri-State, Christian Fellowship, or any other property owner, even the gentleman that wasn't here before you, should they bring the property into compliance at a later date, then you can always request a fine reduction and show that you've actively been trying to resolve the issue. And I've seen those go from thousands of dollars to zero. I mean, I'm not suggesting that's gonna happen here, but it could, and that usually will come back, or not usually, that will come back before me to review and consider. And a lot of that is just, we wanna make sure that somebody's just not trying to take advantage of the system. So if you're saying, hey, look, we've been pushing it, you gave us 3 months, it took us 6 months, we wanna see if we can get a fine waiver, then we would have that, you'd have that opportunity. And, again, a lot of what we're trying to do in this venue is just get compliance, which I understand, sounds like you're trying to, but I recognize the hoops you have to jump through, so, and there are many. Even if it wasn't a major development order, there are many, so, all right, Officer Neenan, anything else?
No.
All right, and Mr. Dixon, was there anything else you want me to consider? All right. No, I mean, once we're done today, you're done with me, so to speak, and then you just work with, code and planning, and working your way through the, county's building permit, or DO, development orders, procedures, and then, you know, when that day finally comes, that everything's been brought into compliance, you'll have them come out, they'll check all the boxes, and then you can say, hey, tell me about how I go ask for a fine reduction, and then they can put that on there. Okay, yes, sir. All right, at this time, I'll close the evidence portion of this hearing. I'll make the following findings of fact and conclusions of law. I'll find that the property located at 100 Christian Camp Road in Phoenix Springs, Florida, is in the unincorporated area of Walton County, Florida, and is therefore subject to the Walton County Land Development Code. I'll find that based on the testimony and evidence presented, sufficient evidence and testimony has been provided to show that there are violations at the property, specifically a violation of 1.1300, which is development approvals, and 1.13.09C, building permit requirements. I will give the property owner the maximum amount of time I'm allowed, which is 90 days, to bring the property into compliance. All right. So honor before September 9th. The property will be brought into compliance. Staff has requested a $250 per day fine. I'm gonna make that a $100 per day fine, because I find that the property owner is attempting, based on testimony, to try to bring the property into compliance, and does not have control over how fast the county will move. There'll also be some notice requirements for the public. So that'll be a $100 per day fine if the property is not brought into compliance on or before September 9th. There's also a $98 administrative fee. That'll need to be paid regardless of whether the property is brought into compliance, and that'll be paid within 30 days. Would that be a problem for? Okay. It'll be part of the order, and then once the order gets put into the system, I'd give it a day or two that can be paid at the clerk's office. It's just a $98 administrative fee. All right, did I miss anything, Officer Neenan?
No, sir.
All right, Mr. Dixon, do you understand the, order? All right, good luck, sir. Thank you for showing up. All right, our next case is CE 25-1298. The property owner is listed as Teresa Font, Fonte. Is there a Teresa Font or Miss Font here, or someone on Miss Font's behalf? All right, seeing no one. Officer Neenan, this looks like it's your case as well. All right, whenever you're ready, ma'am.
Officer Rachel Neenan, Walton County Code Compliance. For the record, I am submitting my final summary case report and testimony in regards to case number 25-01298. The property is located at 125 James Court, Defuniak Springs, Florida, 32433. Parcel number 16-3 North-19765-012-0120. Property owner is Teresa Font. This property is in an unincorporated area of Walton County and is subject to the Land Development Code, Chapter 7, and county ordinances. The violations cited are 7.02.01A, junk and litter, and 7.02.02, overgrowth. The complaint was called in on March 18th of 2025. Trash all in the yard, open garbage also on the road, leave cans at the road, and animals tear into it. I conducted my initial inspection on March 19th of 2025, and I found trash out by the road and overgrowth. On the 20th of March, a notice of violation was given as prescribed by code. April 17th of 2025, the property owner called the office and left a message stating that she will have it completed next week. On May 8th of 2025, I attempted contact with the property owner and left a voicemail. I've talked to her multiple times. I've given her an extension that was given on May 9th of 2025, stating that she would have it completed by May 16th. On May 28th of 2025, a notice of hearing was given as prescribed by code. The photos in your packet show the initial inspection and pre-hearing conditions with violations still existing. I would like to submit my packet into evidence.
That'll be accepted. All right, and you said you have spoken to Miss, is it Font?
Yes, sir. I also received a voicemail yesterday morning asking for a continuance for today. Unfortunately, after multiple times of extensions to let her get the grass and everything cut, still it was nothing has been completed in that time frame in the last almost 3 months now.
Identify on the voicemail why the request for continuance? Was she sick? Car broke down? Any
She
reason
stated
given?
that it was a medical emergency for her eye. She thought she was going to go blind.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I wasn't sure. I attempted to call her back and she didn't answer. I left her a voicemail and I haven't heard from her since then.
All right. And so both violations, both the junk and litter as well as the overgrowth are still outstanding, correct?
Correct, yes, sir.
All right. And what's staff's recommendation?
15 days to achieve compliance or $100 per day to accrue with a $98 admin fee.
Do you know if Miss Font is she does she live by herself? I mean,
Does not. There is also a disabled gentleman that lives there, and I believe she stated her brother that had some mental issues.
I was just curious if she had any help on being able to tackle some of these issues.
She did state that she does work a lot, and we've had multiple conversations. She was like, well, I have 3 days off next week. I'll get it done. And then it doesn't get done. And then we go into the next week and it's the same thing. It's a repetitive cycle that she hasn't been able to complete.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. All right, this time I'll close the evidence portion of this hearing. I'll make the following findings of fact and conclusions of law. I'll find that the property located at 125 James Court in Defuniak Springs, Florida is in the unincorporated area of Walton County, Florida, and is therefore subject to the Walton County Land Development Code. Based on the testimony and evidence presented, I find that there is a violation at the property, specifically 7.0201 junk and litter and 7.02.02 overgrowth. While staff has recommended 15 days, and I know this is a case that does need some attention, I'm gonna give Ms. Font 30 days to bring the property into compliance. So that'll be on or before July 11th. If she's not brought the property in compliance on or before July 11th, there will be a $100 per day fine imposed. In addition to the fine, there's a $98 administrative fee that will need to be paid within 30 days. All right, Officer Neenan, did I miss anything?
No, sir.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Our next case is 25-01183. Property owner is listed at the estate of Kirchner Rolling? Kirchner Rolling, estate of Kirchner Rolling? Am I saying that right? Is anybody here for the estate of Kirchner Roland or Roland Kirchner? Is it Roland Kirchner? Is Kirchner the last name? Okay, thank you, ma'am. And what's your name? Miss Lambert? All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, Mr. Galloway, whenever you're ready.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Drew Galloway, Code Compliance Officer with Walton County. For the record, I'm submitting my final summary case report and testimony in reference to case 25-01183. Property is located at 116 West Royal Palm Avenue in Defuniak Springs. Parcel number is 16-3 North-220-28060-022-0380. The property owner is listed on the property appraiser's web as Kirchner Roland Estate of. The property is in an unincorporated area of Walton County and subject to the provision of Chapter 7 of the Land Development Code. Violations cited are 5.07.09C, exterior storage of non-operating vehicles, junk, and debris. The complaint came in on February 13th, 2025. I made my initial inspection on February the 18th, 2025. There's a packet that's got the photos of all the inspections or re-inspections, pertinent information pertaining to the case. Initial inspection revealed the adjacent parcels to this parcel had recently been cleared, exposing excessive junk and debris and inoperable vehicles. That'll be on Exhibit 1 and 2. A courtesy warning was posted on the front door of the mobile home explaining my visit and requesting a callback. That'll be Exhibit number 3. There's been no response to any posting in this process until the posting of the notice of hearing. I received a phone call from Ms. Ruth Lambert, who's present here today, and who explained that she was unaware of any violations until the notice of hearing was posted. Further explained that the resident of the mobile home is severely hearing impaired and seldom responds to knocking at the door or anything like that. Ms. Lambert expressed concern about other violations and assured me that the issues would be addressed promptly. A notice violation was issued by certified mail on February 19th, 2025 with corrective action required and compliance due date of 3/20/2025. That'll be Exhibit 4. Notice of violation, property posting was on 2/20/25. That's exhibit number 6. You wanna follow through all the photograph. Subsequent inspections. After several inspections of the property, exhibits 8 through 13, the property remained in non-compliance. However, on June the 3rd, 2025, a re-inspection revealed the property near completion with the exception of the inoperable RV, which is exhibit 18 and 19. A notice for hearing was sent certified mail. Property posting and South Walton Annex posting on 5/20/25. That's exhibits 14 through 17. As prescribed by Florida Statute Chapter 162, proper notice was given, and I request the magistrate admit these findings into evidence.
All right, I'll accept into evidence the exhibits and report. The Officer Galloway, so the only thing as far as that has not been completed is just the RV that we see in 19 and 20.
That's correct.
Looks like most of the property, or most of the vehicles, boats, have been removed. I do see is the motorcycle gone, or is that still there?
He's allowed to have the motorcycle. Looks like he works on it sometimes, so
Okay.
he's probably trying to get it running and.
So what's out, so if the RV's removed, then we've resolved the entirety of the inoperable vehicles, junk and debris, or is there any more debris that needs to be resolved?
Well, I'm not saying it'll be a manicured yard, but.
I understand, but I'm just saying.
Everything that was taken out, and if this RV is gone, then there would be no reason to have a code violation on the property. I
Okay,
think
and
it would be.
that's what I was asking. I just wanna make sure that in the event the RV's removed, then there's not some other like, oh, you gotta pick up that bucket over there, or,
Right.
move this. Okay. Ms. Lambert, do you have any questions for Officer Galloway? Okay, well, yeah, hold on. Just, do you have any questions?
Is, we've been having problems. We hired a guy to come and move the RV, and I hired a crew to come in and clean up the whole yard. So the rest of the yard is cleaned up except for the RV. And the guy was supposed to show up last week, but never showed up and never called to let us know what was going on or anything.
Okay.
So we're in the process of trying to find somebody else. We're running into a problem because they say the size of the RV requires a special towing rig or something.
So,
So-
Ms. Lambert, 1 second. So you don't have any specific questions for Officer Galloway about the photographs or
Well,
anything?
my question is, if we get that out, then everything is taken care of? Or can we have a few more days to
Well, we're gonna
try
get
to
to, we're gonna
locate
get to that,
somebody?
but, yes, ma'am, we're gonna get to how many days and stuff like that, but right now, I think Mr. Galloway's testimony, when I asked him, was if the RV is removed, they will come out and re-inspect, and assuming there's no other new issue, then that would satisfy the code.
Okay.
So, I stated that correctly, Officer
Yes,
Galloway? Okay. So, all right, so Officer Galloway, what is the county requesting on this?
County recommends 30 days to bring the property into compliance. Failure to comply with the compliance date will result in a $150 per day fine to begin to accrue.
All right. Are there any admin fees?
$88 on the back.
Oh, okay. All right. So, Ms. Lambert, you heard what the county is requesting, at least in this case, that the RV be removed within the next 30 days. If it's not removed within the next 30 days, they're requesting a $150 fine per day and an $88 administrative fee. Do you think you can get the RV moved in 30 days?
Well, I'm pushing it hard to get it, like I said, but the man, until we can find the proper rig to move it, has to be moved safely. That's my main concern.
Understood. So, are you requesting more than 30 days?
No, I think 30 days should be more than adequate.
Okay.
So,
All right, and as we said before, I don't know if you caught everything on the other, so if you get the RV removed in 30 days, they come out and inspect, then there's no fines issued or anything like that. It's only after you go past the 30 days is when those fines begin to accrue. So, the idea would be, that's your deadline, try not to go past it if possible. And if
Okay.
you do, just like I told the gentleman from, Tri-Christian, you can come and ask for, a fine reduction if that's needed.
yeah, I've been talking with Mr. Galloway as soon as I got notice that this was out of compliance, that we could get it taken care of, so.
Sounds like you've been doing, and I mean, obviously the photographs show that as well, that you have been making strides to bring the property into compliance. So there's just sounds like there's just the last little bit before you're across that finish line. So, all right, at this time, I'll close the evidence portion of this hearing. I'll make the following findings of fact and conclusions of law. I'll find that the property located at 116 West Royal Palm Avenue in Defeniak Springs, Florida is in the unincorporated area of Walton County, Florida, and is therefore subject to the Walton County Land Development Code. Based on the testimony and evidence presented, I do find that there is a violation at the property, specifically a violation of 5.07.09C, exterior storage, junk and debris. Staff's recommended 30 days. In an abundance of caution, I'm going to provide that the property be brought into compliance in 45 days. So you got a little extra cushion there, Ms. Lambert. What's 45 days out? So you're actually going to get 47 days. So that'd be July 28th. All right, so on or before July 28th, you'll need to get that RV removed and call them so they can come out and re-inspect to make sure that the RV is removed. Sometimes there's issues where people do it, they think they're done, nobody in the county knows, and then fines accumulate. So you'll have 47 days to bring the property into compliance. Should the property not be brought into compliance on or before July 28th, 2025, I understand staff requesting a $150 per day fine. I'm going to make that a $100 per day fine. There is going to be an $88 administrative fee that'll need to be paid, regardless of whether or not you remove the RV, and that'll need to be paid in 30 days. All right. You have any questions, Ms. Lambert, about the ruling or the order? All right, thank you,
I
ma'am.
just go up to the courthouse to pay the
Yeah,
fine then?
as I mentioned to the other, give it a few days, a couple days to get in the system. They're gonna turn this over, and give it to the clerk's office. So when that's in the system, because if you go there right now, they're not gonna even know what you're trying to pay. So give it a couple days and then you can pay it at the clerk's office in Defeniak, if you like.
But I'll get a notice in the mail that I can take up to them, or?
Well, it'll be in their system. I don't know. Do y'all give them a notice? Okay. Yeah, so once you get a copy of the final order, you'll know you can go pay it.
Oh, okay, fine.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? All right, Ms. Lambert, thank you for showing up. All right. We've got 4 more. I'm gonna take about a 5-minute comfort break for everybody, so 5 minutes, use the bathroom, stretch your legs, whatever, and then we'll come back at 11:10.
Appreciate that on that.
I believe we're on number 5 of the agenda. That's case CE 25-01178. Property owner listed as Heather Enslin. Enslin? All right. All right, and who are you gentlemen?
I'm Robert Enslin.
I'm sorry?
Robert Enslin.
Robert Enslin, all right?
I'm Jeremy Price.
All right, Jeremy Reiser. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, and you saw how we've been doing these. We'll let
Yes, sir.
Mr. Galloway present, and then we'll let you guys present. All right? Officer Galloway, whenever you're ready.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Drew Galloway, Code Compliance Officer with Walden County. For the record, I am submitting my final summary case report and testimony in reference to case 25-01178. The property is located at Lot 8, Eden Bay Estates, Santa Rosa Beach. The parcel number is -2 south -20 33181 -000 -0080. The property owner is Heather Enslin. Property is in an unincorporated area of Walton County and subject to the provisions of Chapter 7 of the Land Development Code. Violations cited are 1.13.00A, development approvals, 4.00.01, permits required for wetlands, and 4.03.03, shoreline protection. Complaint was called in on February the 12th, 2025. I conducted my initial inspection on February the 19th, 2025. And there's a listing in the packet case file of photographs that were taken and information gathered pertaining to the case. The initial inspection revealed heavy equipment and several dump truck loads of fill dirt on a recently cleared parcel. It'll be Exhibit 1. An investigation revealed an expired building permit from 2020 that was approved with the notated vegetation. If you look at that, that permit that was issued at that time showed the site of the proposed residence that was going to be constructed there, and all the little dots run on the site plan show the vegetation that was to remain on the property. That's just to give you an idea of how much vegetation was supposed to be left after the clearing for the site clearing for the construction of the house. Exhibit number 2, and the permit box contained an invalid and unreadable permit from another location. That'll be on Exhibit 3. A reinspection on February 20th, 2025 revealed a crew from Thomas Hicks Landscaping constructing an unpermitted retaining wall across the rear of the property. That's Exhibit 4 and 5. A stop work order was posted on site on February the 20th, 2025. That's Exhibit number 6. All subsequent inspections found no activity post the stop work order. There's been no face-to-face contact with the property owner, but phone contact was made from Robert Enslin, claiming to have all required permitting from DEP, allowing the construction of a pier and the retaining wall. No such permit has been approved from planning or building departments. Notice violation was issued on February the 4th, March the 4th, with corrective action required and compliance due date of April the 7th, 2025. That's Exhibit number 8. After several inspections of the property, all noted violations remained to this date. A notice of hearing was sent, certified mail, property and South Walton Annex posting on 5/20/2025 as prescribed by Florida statute. Chapter 162, proper notice has been given. I request the magistrate admit these findings into evidence.
I'll accept that into evidence. So walk me through, if the property owner gets a permit from FDEP to construct a residential pier or boathouse, pier and boathouse, whatever, there's still requirement for the retaining wall permitting through the county.
Correct. DEP will issue permits on water
Right.
areas. They don't come up on the land and issue permits for retaining walls or anything like that.
Did you get a copy of Mr. Enslin's FDEP permit, or were you able to confirm that or not?
Don't have any copies of the DEP permit.
And then besides the conversation you mentioned earlier in your testimony over the phone, that's the only other conversation you've had with
Correct.
the property owner or Mr. Enslin? All Mr. Ensland, do you have any questions for Officer Galloway at this time?
I don't.
Okay, thank you, sir. Officer Galloway, you can grab a seat. Mr. Ensland or Mr. Reiser, I don't know which one of you wants to present. If you want to present from there, that's fine. Just make sure your microphone's on,
Okay.
all right? And if this is your opportunity to present any testimony or evidence you'd like for me to consider.
Okay. We do have a pier permit in the construction box out there on site, from the DEP, but I hired, Go Green Consulting before we started this process to get a pier permit. I do want to comment, on the survey. We didn't clear the lot. The lot was cleared, I believe, five or so years ago when they had the original building permit. The only tree removal we did was down where the pier area is going to be in the wetland buffer zone. Well, it wasn't the buffer zone. It was, I guess, between where the wall is now and for access purposes. And that's where the original complaint called in. And then Rick Abad with the DEP came out for the complaint and found that we weren't in any kind of violation. The few trees that we had to remove were in the pier path, and they were also completely rotten. But that was, we didn't clear the trees off the original lot. That was done before I bought it.
Okay.
And I'm gonna let Jeremy kind of tell you.
Yeah, I was the original consultant
Hey,
for.
do you mind moving I can hear you, but.
For the previous owner.
I'm sorry.
That's
Go
all
ahead and
right.
try to speak we record these and put them on
Sure.
YouTube and stuff
Can
like
y'all
that.
hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I was the original consultant on this project for the previous owner as well. Prior to any clearing, I flagged their wetlands. They had their survey completed. The buffer zone did exist at one point in time. And then they were the ones that got building permits but decided not to actually complete construction. They did the lot clearing, and I think they had some disagreements with the homeowners association, decided they wanted to sell the lot. They didn't do anything else. They left it bare. And then Mr. Ensland purchased the property. He contacted me. I'm sure he saw some of my information on previous surveys and then requested, us to go ahead and assist him with permitting a dock structure out there so they could get access to the bay. We did so. We've gotten the waiver from the neighbor to the north, allowing us to push the dock all the way to the riparian rights line, which normally is a 25-foot setback. We had her sign the waiver. That way we could shove it as far north as possible, trying to keep it out of the way. Some clearing was done for access purposes only, and here's where we are today. There's been no additional fill and clearing of the original portion of the site, but I know the fill that you see in those drawings were for the contractor's machinery so that they didn't rut up the site, keeps it from sinking down. They put a parking pad basically out there for the track machines.
Well, I see the gravel, but I also see.
That's at the front of the property, right by the driveway,
I see
again, for
some-
access purposes. That was out there.
What looks like fill dirt.
Yes, that's where
Uh,
the pad is, where the excavator was.
Okay. But it looks like they're,
That ain't nearly enough fill dirt to
well,
fill
yeah, I
that site.
understand that.
They probably need about 300 more loads.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't have anything else to lend to it, except we've been in conversations with Denise from the county and Bradley Bond. They're aware of this situation. The initial call basically came from the homeowners association having concerns because they have more of a protective tree. I wouldn't want to call it an ordinance, but some kind of a protective tree ordinance, if you will, with their homeowners association. And their concern was that too much clearing would be done. However, as we let them know, we had to clear some trees for access purposes for his dock construction. Later, I found out that Denise says, listen, we got to get you in the system, get your BPR number so that we can get this thing back up to code. And then additional neighbors had complained. That's when Rick Abad from Compliance and Enforcement with DEP came out, did a site inspection to make sure we weren't in violation of anything. He said we were just fine. We're not in violation. We're not impacting wetlands that are not
permitted. So Mr. Ensland is here today to get this resolved. I think the next steps are to get his building permit actually issued so they can resume construction.
So have you submitted the information regarding, because my understanding is, and I asked Mr. Galloway about this earlier, you heard me, on the upland side of it where the retaining wall is it your understanding that you need a permit to put in
Don't
the
need a
retaining-
permit from DEP, but we are going to get one anyhow, so that we can push the wall further out on the southern side of the property, which will impact probably 100 square feet of wetlands, which will eliminate the buffer from the county altogether.
All right. So have those permits been or shown to the county or
Well,
submitted
we
to the
only
county?
have a permit for the dock at this point in time, and we are in the process of having the engineered drawings that are required by DEP produced by his engineer. However, he hasn't gotten them back to us yet, and that's why nothing has resumed.
Okay. Well, I guess my question is, then if you don't have a permit from FDEP for the retaining wall or the county, then why were we installing the retaining wall?
Well, originally, we thought with what he was doing for me with the permitting that we were allowed to put in that. I did not know. So we stopped once we got the, stop work order. And I've probably tried to contact Donese 25 times. I've probably come here 5 or 6 and emailed, called. I've had Jeremy here meet with her and Bradley one time. I've had Jeff Chick, the architect, contact her, and we keep trying to set up a meeting, but it's been really hard to get her locked down to get this resolved.
I think
She wanted me to issue she wanted to get me in the system so we could try to figure out a way to either stop the wall or if we could complete it, just move on in planning until we got this resolved. But it's been months and we haven't gotten any kind of answers or anything back.
I think the confusion with regards to getting under construction probably came just when we started permitting this. Mr. Ensland didn't ask, but I didn't volunteer it either. When he asked me to get building permits for the construction of a dock, I'm assuming he thought he could get under construction without getting approval from the county. We do the state and federal permits. We don't do county permits for building. With that being said, after Donese had got in contact with him, they stopped everything and got him in the system to at least get the process going. So that's.
As we sit here today, everybody understands the process, that there is a county portion of it. I know in some jurisdictions, if you get the federal or the state, then you got a green light to go. But in other jurisdictions, welcome to Walton County.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
have
Well,
that
and-
green light.
And regarding the retaining wall, DEP Norcor requires any type of permit for an upland retaining wall. But if you impact wetlands, even if it's 100 square feet, then you have to get a state programmatic general permit at the very least for 100 square feet or less, and that's for wetland impacts. And then at that point, it's no longer a retaining wall; it's a seawall. It's just a matter of
And
terminology.
I'm not here to enforce FDEPs.
Yeah.
I only have authority to enforce what the county code has. I know there's specific language about seawalls and having seawalls adjacent, on other properties. And, again, if you're going through the process, seeking the permits, then you should, I'm assuming once you go through that process, get the county what they need, then hopefully you'll get your permit issued. So, okay, anything else that you want me to consider? All right. The Officer Galloway, do you have any questions for Mr. Reiser or Mr. Ensland? All right, and what's the county's recommendation on this?
County recommends a period of 30 to 90 days to bring the property into compliance. Failure to comply with the compliance date established by this hearing will result in a $250 per day fine to begin to accrue.
You've, Mr. Ensland, you've heard what the county is recommending on this case, and I'll also advise that there's an $88 administrative fee. that would be imposed as well. The, how long do you think you're gonna need? I know you have Mr. Reiser, I know you guys are, trying to get in front of county personnel.
Yeah,
Then it takes time.
It's been over 90 days just trying to get, with the county to get this resolved and to no avail. I know they're backed up with all the changeover and everything and the planning, but we've got the engineer working on we've had soil reports done, so it should be, I guess within, what do you think, 90 days?
As long as your engineer can provide. If the engineer can provide the drawings in the next 30 days, then it seems doable to be able to get our general permit from DEP in order for you to get that back to the county. But the county process, I can't even discuss because right now it's averaging, I believe, 3 months to get building permits, and that's with everything, available, lined up to support your application.
That's just through planning. That's not even permitting yet.
Right.
So-
Well, I don't know if you were here, I'm assuming you were. I mean, I only have authority to give up to 90 days, You can go ask the county commissioners, change the code, give me more time, but I think the idea is they don't want me to sit over here and give, infinite amount of time for people to be brought into compliance. But I understand your concerns, and I have the same concerns regarding timing. So I'm inclined to give you the maximum I'm allowed to give, which would be 90. We can cross our fingers that you get close, and if you overshoot, you can always come and ask for a fine reduction. All right. So, all right. If there's nothing else, I'll close the evidence portion at this time. I'll make the following findings of fact and conclusions of law. I'll find that the property located or as identified as Lot 8, Eden Bay Estates, parcel ID number 24-2S 20-33-181 000-0080 is in the unincorporated area of Walton County, Florida, and is therefore subject to the Walton County Land Development Code. Based on the testimony and evidence presented, I do find that there is a violation at the property, specifically 1.13.00, development approvals, 4.03.03, shoreline protection, and 4.00.01 wetland permits. Based on the testimony and evidence and the time constraints, I'm going to provide the maximum amount of time to bring the property in compliance, 90 days. That's going to put us September 9th. So on or before September 9th. The property is not brought into compliance on or before September 9th. I know staff has requested a $250 fine. I'm going to make it a $150 fine for every day that the property is not brought into compliance. In addition to the fine, there's an $88 administrative fee. That'll need to be paid within 30 days. As we told the other property owners, the administrative fee, give it a couple days. Once you get that, you can just pay that at the clerk's office. All right? Any questions regarding the order, Mr. Insland? All right, thank you, sir. All right, you are dismissed. All right. Our next case is property owner Larry Goodson. Mr. Goodson, how are you?
I am representing Mr. Goodson.
Okay. What's your name, sir?
Jonathan Parsons.
Jonathan Parsons. All right, Mr. Parsons, grab a seat, and we'll get to you in just a moment.
Sure.
All right, whenever you're ready.
I'm Code Compliance Officer Greg Forehand. For the record, I'm submitting my final report, presentation, and testimony in reference to case 2501081. Properties in an unincorporated area of Walton County, subject Land Development Code, Florida Statute 162, located at 22 2S Sierra 20 035 0080, also known as 25 Houston Lane in Santa Rosa Beach. The property is shown to belong to a Mr. Larry Goodson, but I've been informed there is a purchasing deed agreement between Mr. Goodson and Mr. Parsons here. Violation being pursued is 7.02.01A for junk litter in vehicles. Complaint was received on 1/9 of 2025. Initial inspection completed on 1/13/2025, and phone contact with the listed owner, Mr. Goodson. And that's when I advised him of the complaint violations and the corrections needed. And he made me aware of the deed agreement with Mr. Parsons. I got Mr. Parsons' contact information, and in turn gave him a call to relay the same information about the complaint. So on 1/15/2025, notice of violation was prepared and placed in certified mail to Mr. Goodson's address, being he's shown on the property appraiser, and also posted to the property on 1/16/25. On 2/19, the first follow-up was done with progress showing and the removal of some of the vehicles and the vessels that were there, the maintenance that was required. Some minor exterior maintenance repair was completed to the mobile home there. And with that progress, I made a determination to extend the inspection beyond the violation date of 3/3/25. On March 24th/25, I returned for the inspection and showed a little bit of a slight reversal. A couple of vehicles had shown back up and looked to be part needing repair, dismantled. And I contacted Mr. Goodson then at that time to advise him of the situation and potential of a hearing if those changes aren't either corrected or anything forthcoming in future inspections. And on 4/9/2025, I returned, showing again some minimal progress with the removal of the vehicles and other violations that were there. And also the unpermitted structure was still in place in the rear yard. Then I contacted Mr. Parsons on that day by phone and let him know the inspection and the findings and the potential of a notice of hearing to be scheduled for June. And on 4/28/25, I went out there again to inspect and still seeing he started on a fence, but the side of the property and the rear of the property was still visible and with the violations present. Then on 5/1, I continued with a notice of hearing for today. And I was placed in certified mail back to Mr. Goodson also, and a posting on the property. But since the issuance of the notice of hearing, I've continued inspections with heavy progress being seen, including the removal of the unpermitted structure in the rear yard, several of the vehicles, and the general debris. And it's still not to the point it could be closed. So I went out there yesterday and took the photos for today's hearing, and at with those.
So what's remaining that Mr. Parsons
There's
would do?
a couple of questionable vehicles still there, and some other light debris, some stacks of construction debris, and some like propane, random propane tanks, and some vehicle parts, tires, and things like that.
Is that on one side of the fence or the other? I mean, because it looks like the fence is almost
Yeah, the
complete.
fence is across they started installing that fence, and across the front side, the west side of the property, along on the 4th Street side, and then it starts going around onto Houston Lane and partially into the west side or the south side of the property there. So you still have a view of the like in those the pre-hearing inspection photos. That top one is a side view from the south facing north into the front yard, which there was a couple of vehicles out there that's gone now. And the bottom picture is on the rear of the property where the blue shed was at, and it's now removed with just some other random items. There's that white SUV remaining back there. There's that Jeep out to the south side that's under repair under that
So is
canopy there.
is that a violation? I mean, it looks like it's under repair.
Well, yeah, well, it's not registered. There's no registration, and it's been there for a couple of months in that condition, and it's the 30 days is what's required with the county.
All right. And if that's,
Especially with it exposed publicly like that.
but if it's moved behind the fence, then it would not be a violation if
And
it's not seeable.
Technically, in that, for the South Walton district, technically you're not supposed to shield, but it's one of those things, if it's in there and you can't publicly see it and it's something he's got there tinker on, get it back on the road. It won't be drawing attention out there in public view.
Well, that's what I was asking, because I
Yeah.
know we've had that case, or that situation.
Yeah.
In other places, and, sometimes putting up a fence or putting up
Yeah.
some sort of opaque barrier, and then having whether it be vehicles or the exterior storage behind that, then it becomes,
He's definitely been headed in the right direction. He's got a pretty hefty work schedule. He does, I believe it was construction, and he works like 6 days a week. So when you give him advantage, it means he's got a minimal amount of time on his hands, and he's been doing, a decent amount, a good amount. I mean, as you see the progression.
Yeah.
Definitely.
well, and so as we sit here today, based on your pre-inspection report from yesterday, or I'm sorry, your inspection
Yeah.
from yesterday of the
The 24
property,
hour, yes, sir.
what are the outstanding items that if myself or Mr. Parson asks, hey, these are the things you need to resolve?
Well, yeah, just like, you can see. Mostly across the back there, which if I'm understanding, they're planning on continuing the fence on around. I mean, it's gonna be, it's cost wise, too. But that backyard, they was planning on, encasing that, if that's organized, and which there's a very minimal amount of debris back there. There's like a few like doors and things propped up. Even yesterday when I went out, some of the tires and some other smaller things have been removed since Monday. And like I said, that white SUV there, I'm not sure of its status.
So I guess my question is, does Mr. Parson have the option either he can stop building a fence and then he needs to clean up and resolve the vehicle, as well as looks like maybe some lumber and some other odds and ends stacked, in view, or if he continues his fence, would he be required to address those issues immediately?
With the cleanup that's been taking place, I think if he continued the fence with the cleanup he's been doing, it could be allowable to be if it's in case, because he's done a lot of cleanup.
Okay. So, all right. Well, I appreciate that. Mr. Parsons, do you have any questions at this time?
Yeah, so basically.
Well, hold on. Do you have any questions of the officer?
Oh,
Before?
no, sir.
Okay. Well, that's good. All right. Now's your opportunity. Go ahead, Mr. Parsons.
All right, so basically what I understand is if I get the fence up, finished being put up, this will be the end of it?
Potentially, I think that's what Officer Forehand, that's what I was asking. And it sounds like you have the option to either continue the fencing that you have to shield it from view, or you can stop fencing, but then you gotta clean up what you can
Yeah.
see.
In which the white SUV is one of mine, and it does need repair. I've rebuilt the motor. A week later, I snapped the bolt off, so I have to pull the motor back out. For machine work, basically. The Jeep is a buddy of mine, so I'm helping him get it back on the road. It is a spaghetti nightmare dealing with wiring harness issues. So it's all the fun. And as for my building I had, which was the blue one in the back,
Well, that's gone, right?
it is gone at this very point in time.
Okay. Well, then that's
Now-
fine. I don't know that we need to address it if it's
Well,
not an issue.
What my issue is according to Mr. Forehand, that code requires a permit for it. I've been to every building code compliance website and information that I can acquire without actually going to the compliance administration themselves. This building shed is in compliance with everything with accessible knowledge. It is under the recommended square footage, according to their website. It is under the recommended height requirement, according to their website. And it is offset 1,500 foot from flood zone due to a navigable waterway. And that is all under the South Walton, south of the bay, to the beach compliance. But I can't find out any other information, and I've asked for the information, or at least the code number for the information as to why I need a permit for that building.
Yeah,
When
and you're
it
not gonna get the
lands-
answer today, cause I
when-
don't know the answer
Well,
either.
when it lands under the non-permitted building, because it isn't heated or cooled or power run to it. And it is not a permanently fixed structure.
Okay, yeah, and so what, I mean, I can't give you legal advice.
Yeah,
I'm
well-
not the planning director. I mean, what I would recommend is you get with the planning department, show them what you have, and say, do I need to apply for a permit? And if they say, no, you're good, ask for something in writing that allows that, but otherwise, you know, I can't, I mean, to me, that's a non-issue today because it's not before me,
Yeah.
and I can't give
Well,
you permission to
that's-
put it in, put the building back, or do anything like that.
Yeah.
That's not my job.
Yeah, and I understand that. That's why I've been trying to get information on it, and I haven't been able to get any information from anybody.
Yeah, and I think the people who will give you the green light on that is somebody in the planning department. I mean, you can ask code, but I mean, they're not there to issue permits to people for building or, you know,
Well, I
structures.
wasn't asking for, the permit. I was asking for
I
the
understand.
code number.
That's why you go to the planning, because they should know the code number to say, oh, here's what you're wanting, here's what you want, here's
Yeah.
where you want to put it.
And I've tried getting a hold of planning, and I can't get anybody to answer a phone.
I know, and every other owner in front of you today has said the same thing. So,
So-
I mean, we recognize that it's a struggle.
Yeah.
But what I'm
it's-
saying is, I can't give you the answer to it. I don't know
Okay,
the
that's-
code. I don't know that they know the code. But if you get approval from planning and they say, yeah, you don't need a permit, then great,
So.
go forth.
Then my follow-up question would be is if they don't know the code, then how can I get cited for something that they don't know the answer to?
Well, they can cite you for whatever. That's why we're having the hearing. Because if you want to come in and say, hey, I don't think I've been improperly cited, well, that's what we're here for today, is
Yeah.
for you to say, I've been improperly cited. And if I agree with you, then I will not find a violation. If I
Okay, and
disagree with
that's-
you, then I will find you in violation.
And
So-
that's why I wanted some answers
Right.
cleared up for.
But my understanding is the building's not here, or not on the property rather.
Yes.
And if it was on the property, then we would be having this conversation. But since it's not on the property, it's a non-issue for me,
Yes.
okay?
And like I said, I was just trying not to get fined heavily,
Well,
which is why it's been removed at this point in time.
and that's fine. And if you think that you're allowed to put it on the property, you can do that. You may get another code violation, and we may be back here and we can be addressing that blue building at that point.
Okay.
But, what I'd recommend you do, and again, this is your call, is try to talk to somebody in planning to make sure before you go through that expense and having to go through this whole process again,
Yeah.
is trying to get an answer to it. I know it's frustrating. I know they're not able to get on, get
I-
with people quickly, but.
I understand Walton County. I've lived here for 35 years.
Yeah. And
So
it's,
I've lived here my whole life. I know how Walton County is.
yeah, it's changed for sure. So, all right. Mr. Parson, do you have anything else you want me to, consider? Any testimony, any evidence?
Not at this time.
All right, thank you, sir. Do you have any questions for Mr. Parson?
No, sir.
All right, go ahead.
On the violation itself, I have prior to removing the building. In the language of the violation itself for the accessory structure, I actually underlined it because it's for storage buildings. It does say under the 202024 storage utility building under subsection B, it does say storage buildings, greenhouses, and the like shall be permitted in the compliance. And then under D category, storage and other buildings regulated by this section shall be included in calculations for impervious surface, floor area ratio, or any other site design requirements applying to the principal use of the lot.
Is that because it's in South Walton?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, my understanding is there are some more stringent code requirements
I
south
also
of the
did
bay.
discuss it with Donnie Sway about it. She said it would have to be, a part of the, plan on the property and approved and properly set up, secured to the ground, because it was just attached to, on a trailer, type frame.
Can you get with, I mean, you heard Mr. Parsons' questions and issues about he can only get so much online or, you know,
Yeah.
maybe direct him. with
Which I
him.
directed towards planning on my notations from 410, where when we talked on the phone on 4:9, he asked these questions and I gave him answers to that I could give, and also directed him to planning and building departments.
Right, well, as I told Mr. Parsons, I'm not gonna deal with an issue that
Yeah,
appears to
and,
have
and,
been
and it's
resolved.
gone at the moment.
I
so.
think, so, you know, we can move on from that, and I would just, as I cautioned Mr. Parson, you know, don't just bring it out there and say,
Yeah.
let's see where the chips fall. I would hope that somebody in planning could help him as a resident of Walton County to say, hey, here's what you need to do, and here's how you need
Yeah,
to do it. So
yeah.
we're not here 3 months from now dealing with something that
It'd
Mr.
be-
Parson thought was,
Yeah.
you know, legal or
And,
appropriate.
And also, while I was sitting over there, as I was speaking with a manager there, Mike, and supervisor, when it comes to the cleanup, I mean, the fence for South Walton don't supersede the need to continue getting rid of what's considered the junk and debris items inside there. I mean, needs to continue the cleanup, which they've done a significant amount of cleanup, but they can't just build the fence and to cloak it,
Okay, well,
and which is, you know,
well then, I mean, I think Mr. After this hearing, at some point, someone will need to get with Mr. Parsons and advise him what needs to be done.
Okay.
So he can be brought in, I mean, just like any property owner, you know, myself included, I would wanna know, okay, what are the things that I can do
Yeah.
to be brought into compliance? And if he's under the impression, and I kinda thought, you know, and that maybe that was my mistake, that if he puts up the fence, then that would cloak it and not be an issue, because I know that's,
yeah,
in
if it
other
was under
parts of the
chapter
county.
5, it would,
okay.
but, yeah.
All right, so you hear that, Mr. Parsons, just putting up the fence does not seem like it's gonna be sufficient to resolve the issue, so I'd recommend you speak with code enforcement to find out exactly what
Yeah.
they're looking for.
And we've discussed it some in the past, maybe not in extreme detail, but we have.
Okay, all right, Mr. Parsons, any follow-up questions based on what we just discussed?
Just need to set up a time meeting so we can discuss exactly what needs to be done.
All right, what's staff's recommendation on this?
Well, I was gonna, even with the time that's went by with his schedule and everything, I told him I tried to get around 60 days because of the amount of time he has on his hands, but that was mine for around 60 days and at $100 a day, which will put it at August 11th, because it'll be 61 with my schedule.
All right, so your staff's requesting 60 days to bring the property into compliance, and $100 per day fine should the property not be brought into compliance by that date, and then there's a $98 administrative fee.
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Parsons, what are your thoughts on the 60 days? Do you think if you had the opportunity to meet with the county in a timely manner, you can resolve any issues within 60 days?
I should be able to get it cleaned up, but not with the fence, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think we're telling you gotta,
Yeah, I'm
You don't
just-
have to build, the fence isn't a requirement.
I think if you clean up, then you could just stop building the fence if you want, but I want you to be sure on what you need to clean
Oh,
up.
I'm gonna continue the fence because I do a lot of side work and a lot of projects. So, you know, it's like the white Suburban and that Jeep sitting there. You know, I got things I got to work on to make a little bit of side money,
Understood.
but seeing how there's being a fuss made about it, I'm gonna have to keep it behind a fence. So it doesn't attract, you know, unwanted attention or unnecessary attention.
All right. So you think 60 days though would
I
be
should be able to get
sufficient
it cleaned up.
with your schedule?
Yeah.
Because it sounds like they're trying to take into account that, you know, you work a lot and you know,
Yes.
you don't have a copious amount of time or free time, so. All right, at this time, I'll close the evidence portion of this hearing. I'll make the following findings of fact and conclusions of law. I'll find that the property located at 25 Houston Lane in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, is in the unincorporated area of Walton County, Florida, and is therefore subject to the Land Development Code. One other question. So you have a contract for, deed with Mr. Goodson?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when did you acquire that?
Last January, I believe. I got it right here. Yes, January 6th, 2024.
And what are the terms, like when's that contract for deed supposed to
It
be?
is, the purchase agreement is until the set upon, what is it? The, set upon price is paid off, which
Do y'all have a term date though? Is
I
there-
don't think so.
Okay. So there's no amortization table or anything that tells you like this should be your last payment or last little bit?
No, sir.
Okay.
I'd have to go through and actually
Do the math?
do the math on it.
Understood. All right. As I said earlier, I find that property is located in the unincorporated area of Walton County, Florida, is therefore subject to the Land Development Code. Based on the testimony and evidence presented, I will find that there is a violation at the property, specifically a violation of 7.02.01A, junk debris and unregistered vehicles, that the property will need to be brought into compliance within 60 days.
Actually, it'd be 61 for my scheduling.
So that's
August
August 11th,
Yes.
61 days. So on or before August the 11th. Mr. Parsons will have to bring the property into compliance. In the event the property is not brought into compliance, there's a $100 per day fine that will begin to accrue. Mr. Parsons, there's a $98 administrative fee that'll need to be paid regardless of whether you bring the property into compliance, and that'll be need to be paid within the next 30 days.
All right.
Do you have any-
Where do I pay that at?
That'll be at the clerk's office. Don't try to pay it today.
Yes, which clerk?
Sure.
South Walton, Defuniak?
Matter. They're
Okay.
all connected.
That's
So you,
what I want to know.
yeah, you can pay it at any of the offices. But I would, as I told others, wait a few days
Yes.
before you go try to pay it so they know what you're trying to pay. All right?
Yes, sir.
Any other
Would-
questions?
Would you rather the final judgment be mailed to you? We can mail a copy, being you're on the deed. I've been mailing it to him. I've been mailing everything to Mr. Goodson, but if
Well, I mean, I think since Mr. Goodson's still the
on the property
owner
appraiser,
listed
okay.
on the property appraiser's website, you can send, I would recommend, but you talk to your supervisor.
Yeah, that's
You
usually how
send
we
you
handle
send
it.
a-
Yeah,
You send it to Mr. Goodson with you can send a courtesy copy.
and
to
I
Mr.
can make him
Parson.
aware. Yeah, okay, that's
Yeah.
no problem.
So Mr. Parson knows since
When it's
he's
available.
actually living on property. So, all right. Any questions, Mr.
sir.
Parson? I appreciate you showing up. I know you showed up early today.
Yeah, kind
You're
of long.
dismissed. All right. Thank you. The next case is 25-01-243. The owner is listed as Kenneth Bunkley. Anyone here for Mr. Bunkley? Oh, wait, that was the gentleman.
Yeah, he had
All
to
right.
leave. He had another. Yeah.
All right, well, I remember Mr. Bunkley was here, and you advised me earlier that he had a appointment, and you were in agreement that he could leave.
Yeah.
But go ahead and present your case.
All right, I'm Code Compliance Officer Greg Foreham. For the record, I'm submitting my final report, presentation, testimony in reference to case 25-01-243. Property is an unincorporated area of Walton County and subject to Land Development Code per Florida Statute 162. Located at parcel 242 S Sierra 214212000000240, also known as 15 West Wildbriar Road in Santa Rosa Beach, belonging to Kenneth Bunkley. Violations being pursued is a 7.02.01A for the junk litter and 5.07.09B, duty of maintenance to private property. Complaint received on March 5th, 2025. Initial inspection completed on March 9th with photos updated on that day on the 10th. On 3/10, I did receive I'm sorry, let me go back. On the 9th, I did make contact with a resident there, being Mr. Bunkley's brother. But then on the 10th, I received a phone call directly from Mr. Bunkley with us discussing the complaint and the 30-day violation to be issued and actions needed to take into compliance. On a 3/11, the violation was placed in certified mail with a posting on the property on 3/20. On 3/31 of 25, I received a secondary complaint. I guess they were starting to get rid of some things, and there was like some car jacks and engine hoists and stuff that was out in the road and right away, which I contacted him and he got it removed fairly quickly. And on 4/14/25, I completed the 30-day inspection on the violation, finding some progress and allowing a 2-week extension for potential continuance of the progress. And on 4/28/25, after giving the continuance or the extension, there was minimal progress and further observation of the overall conditions of that property adjacent to the neighbor in the neighborhood. It led me to add in the 50709 violation and the termination for a notice of hearing to be made. On 501, the notice of hearing was prepared for today's date, and the updated notice of violation with the Chapter 5 violation on it. And follow-up inspections have continued up until yesterday, with efforts being made but not allowing closure. And I also made contact with Mr. Bunkley out there at the property yesterday, explaining this process and the few things around the edges that kind of need to be buttoned down for me to be able to close it.
Okay. So, did you and Mr. Bunkley speak about what your recommendation was gonna be?
Yeah, I asked him about what he thought it would need, and you know, I was going 30 to 45 days, and I think more to the 40 or 47 days, because he, you know, like everybody else, he's busy, but he's had a bit of a time, and I think giving the 47 days for July 28th, he feels like that will be more than adequate time to get the last little bit done.
Okay.
With $100 a day thereafter.
All right.
And the admin fee is also 98, if you weren't
Right.
already aware.
You wanna introduce your packet into the evidence?
Yes, sir. I submit my packet for
All right.
evidence.
I'll accept that into evidence. And, I'm sorry, you said 47 days? What's
Yeah, it would be
47?
July 28th.
Okay.
I would, on the 45, I wouldn't be on duty.
And that was 109, and then 98 for the
Yes, sir.
admin. All right. So what's he have outstanding? It looks like there's boats and stuff. but-
Yeah, everything out there is tagged and registered. Initially, what brought about the cause, if you see the initial inspection photos, it was pretty. They was bringing stuff and just unloading it and leaving it there in the primary drive there, and that gazebo cover
Yeah,
was in disarray, and he still now has a little bit of I tidied him up on the vegetation. He needs to be clean, you know, tidied up, and he's got some tools and items thrown about behind one of the boats where he just got it repaired, and just general pickup is kind of what's left, and tidying the vegetation to make it blend in for with the rest of the neighborhood. You know, it's kind of sticks out a bit.
right. But as long as and I know some people don't like it, but as long as the boats are registered and the vehicles
Oh,
are
yeah.
registered.
Yeah, everything there with that,
Those
they're all
are-
registered.
as
It's
long-
just some of the like they have like loading ramps and ladders and all types of stuff just propped up around the edges outside of the property, and like stacks of wood propped against the interior of the house, and things like that.
Okay.
You know, just basic tidying up's really all that's left technically.
All right, thank you, sir. I'll close the evidence portion of this hearing. I'll make the following findings of fact and conclusions of law. Find that the property located at 15 Wildbriar Road in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida is in the unincorporated area of Walton County, Florida, is therefore subject to the Walton County Land Development Code. Based on the testimony and evidence presented, I do find that there is a violation at the property, specifically 7.02.01A, junk and litter, and 5.07.09B, maintenance of private property. Based on staff's recommendation, the property will need to be brought into compliance on or before July 28th. Property is not brought into compliance on or before that date, a $100 per day fine will be imposed. In addition to the fine, there's a $98 administrative fee. That fee will need to be paid within 30 days. All right. And then I think our last one, property owner is listed as Andrew Farmer, and the address is 105 First Street in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida. All right. And are you Mr. Farmer? Okay, great. I've got. Wait, maybe that was for. I'm sorry, there's one more on here, an Alto McDonald. I was wondering why I had this one up here. I was like, I thought we were almost done. Okay, so it was on the next page. I apologize. All right, let's get these last two knocked out. All right, Mr. Farmer, you saw the procedure we use, so I'll go ahead and let the code compliance officer present, and then we'll let you present any testimony evidence you wish for me to consider. All right, whenever you're ready, sir.
For the record, I'm Code Compliance Officer Darnell Bennett. I am submitting my final summary report, presentation, and testimony in reference to case number CE-24-01048. The property is 105 First Street, Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, 32459. Parcel number is 22-2 South-220-33120-106-0020. This property is in an unincorporated area of Walton County and therefore subject to Land Development Code, Chapter 7, and county ordinances. The property owner is listed as Andrew Farmer. The violation cited is 1.13.09C building permits. The initial complaint came in through phone that there was a structure built, a pergola in the backyard without proper permitting. An initial inspection was conducted on January 16th, 2025, where I met with the PO with the property owner to deliver a notice of violation after discussing the complaint in violation with property on January 15th, the day before. On March 12th, 2025, the property owner contacted me and explained that he had hired a permitting consultant to help him complete the planning approval process and to obtain building permits. On May 20th, 2025, property owner obtained the proper approvals from planning, but still lacked the permits from building. A notice of hearing was hand-delivered to property owner on May 30th, 2025, and certified mailed that same day. As of today, the structure is still in place, and although he has obtained his planning approvals, he still lacks his building permits. The property owner did not bring the property into compliance within the allotted time. Proper notice was given as prescribed by code, and as of last inspection, yesterday, June 10th, 2025, the property remains in non-compliance. I ask that the magistrate find the property in violation.
All right. Do we know, it appears that the property owner's in position or trying to get in position to rectify the issue? Do you know of any, what the time frame might be for planning to finish?
Speaking with his permitting consultant, Amber McDonald, it shouldn't take them too long, maybe a couple weeks, honestly, to get their building permits.
All right. Mr. Farmer, do you have any questions for Officer Bennett?
No, sir.
Okay. And what evidence or testimony would you like me to consider?
We're just still moving forward with Amber McDonald, and next couple weeks should be fine. I have somebody coming over to adjust things this evening, so just some small last minute things that I need to do to make sure it comes into compliance.
So 30 to 45 days would be plenty of time, you feel?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else you want me to consider?
No, sir.
All right. What's staff's recommendation based on Mr. Farmer's testimony and your understanding of the case?
30 days, but whatever you decide, 30 to 45 is fine. I know he'll, have it completed, but 30 days to bring the property into compliance or $100 per day fine, as well as a admin fee of $98.
Mr. Farmer, you've heard what the county's requesting as far as, a recommendation for the order. Do you have any comments on that, requests, anything like that?
No, I agree with that.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, at this time, I'll accept into the evidence the code compliance packet, make the following findings of fact and conclusions of law. Find the property located at 105 First Street in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, is in the unincorporated area of Walton County, Florida, is therefore subject to the Walton County Land Development Code. Based on the testimony and evidence presented by both Officer Bennett as well as Mr. Farmer, I will find that there is a violation on the property, specifically a violation of 1.13.09C, considering that the Mr. Farmer, the property owner, is very close to bringing the property into compliance. I will provide, just an abundance of caution, 45 days, which would put us at July. So that's right. So on or before July 28th, which is 47 days. In the event the property is not brought into compliance on or before that date, a $100 per day fine will be imposed. In addition to the fine, there's a $98 administrative fee, and Mr. Farmer, that'll need to be paid regardless of whether you get the property brought into compliance, and then you have 30 days to pay that. Is that going to be an issue?
No, sir.
All right. That concludes the case. Thank you, Mr. Farmer, for showing up, and good luck. All right. Now our last case?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now this is for Alto McDonald. All right. Hey, guys, y'all go ahead. Y'all drew the short straw and ended up at the very
I don't
end.
think she was sworn in yet.
Oh, did she show up later? All right. Do you plan to speak or provide testimony today?
I don't know. Go ahead and do it anyway. That way you.
All right, let's do it anyway, just to be sure. All right, you raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes, thank you, ma'am. And what, are you Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
All right, and who are you, ma'am?
I was going to purchase the property. I was on the lease with him.
All right, and what's your name? I'm sorry, how do you spell that? All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, we'll let Officer Bennett present, and then we'll hear from you guys, all right? Whenever you're ready.
For the record, I'm Code Compliance Officer Darnell Bennett. I'm submitting my final summary report, presentation, and testimony in reference to the case CE-25-01379. The property is 310 East Tiger Lily Lane, Defuniak Springs, Florida, 32433. Parcel ID is 17-3 North-20-80-80-045-0190. This property is in an unincorporated area of Walton County and subject to Land Development Code Chapter 7 and county ordinances. The property owner is listed as Alto McDonald. The violations cited are 1.1300A, development approvals, 1.1309C, building permits, and 5.07.09C, junk and or debris. Initial complaint was a phone complaint about the junk and debris, 2 small sheds being lived in, one without water or power, no septic, and that an initial inspection was conducted on April 17th, 2025, where I did observe that there were unpermitted sheds or tiny homes, additionally an RV, and also the junk and debris on the property. The tiny homes were being utilized as dwelling units. Did speak with one of the tenants upon my initial visit and discussed the steps that were needed to come into compliance. A notice of violation was posted to the property on April 27th, 2025, and certified mailed that same day. On May 14th, upon a follow-up inspection, I did observe that one of the two tiny homes or sheds had been removed from the property, but the other home remained along with the junk and debris. On May 27th, I contacted the property owner and explained that either approvals and permits from planning and building department needed to be obtained, or everything removed from the property. On May 30th, 2025, a notice of hearing was posted to the courthouse and the property, and additionally certified mail that same day. To date, there has been some on-site progress, but no steps have been taken with the planning or building departments to obtain approvals or permitting. We also ask that the magistrate take into consideration that the property owner is a repeat violator of the following ordinances: the junk and debris 5.0709C, and also building permits 1.1309C. The property owner did not bring the property into compliance within the allotted time. Proper notice was given as prescribed by code. As of last inspection on June 10th, 2025, this property remains in non-compliance. I ask that the magistrate find that this property is in violation.
So, is there still a violation for the junk and debris? I'm looking at some of the photos, and it looks like most of that, if not all of that's been cleaned up. Is there still junk and debris, like in the back or something?
Yeah, it's if you're looking at, hold on, let's see here.
I'm looking at 610 now. I see off to the side. Is that still on the same property?
Yes, sir.
A bush,
Yes, sir.
and then there's some junk and debris.
Yes,
so
sir.
Is that?
It's not much, but it's some there. It was a little worse, but yeah, there's still some there.
Okay, so that'll need to be resolved.
Yes, sir.
Is there any other junk and debris on the property or vehicle?
There was a untagged vehicle, but yeah, actually yesterday on my pre-hearing inspection, that was being towed off, so that's no longer. Yeah,
I believe that's an issue.
right.
And then, so the only other thing under that section of the code is just what we talked about.
Right.
The little bit of, or I don't know how to say little, but the debris that's piled up off
On the
to
right side.
to
Yes,
right
sir.
side.
Yes, sir.
All right, and then for 1.1300A, development approvals, and 1.1309C, building permit, that's because the blue structure slash tiny home, whatever
Yes.
you want to call it, does not have a development order or permit approvals.
Yes,
correct?
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you want to introduce your packet into evidence?
Oh, yes, please.
All right, so I'll accept that into evidence. Mr. McDonald or Miss Starnes? I forgot an S in there, so I'm sorry. Miss Starnes, do you have any questions for Officer Bennett? All right. Now's your opportunity for me to hear or consider any evidence or testimony you'd like for me to take into consideration.
My name's Alto McDonald for the record. She has agreed to just void our agreement, and she's got to move to the apartment because of the problem she's having obtaining permits.
So is it my understanding, Ms. Starnes, you were using the blue building or the small tiny home that you were staying there? Is that right or not?
Well, I've got my stuff there, my animals. They've been present there.
Okay.
I've been trying to work on the building, made it to a home. I've also been working with the planning department. I've been several times, things that I've got taken care of, including having the survey done, so we'd have the information that they needed. My problem was the people who sold me the building were supposed to have it secured and have it strapped down. They did not. When I got hold of them about the problem, they said that most people didn't ask to have their building strapped down.
Yeah.
So then I tried to get someone, they gave me a number to someone, he gave me a price, I saved up the money, and then when I went to make the appointment, I realized he wasn't licensed and could no longer, he wasn't able or authorized to fill out the paperwork for the permanent apartment.
Right.
When I contacted a contractor here recently in the last 30 days, they wanted $30,000.
Okay, so you,
I've had to change my plans.
so the plan is,
I'll be out by this weekend.
and then are you just gonna continue to try to bring the,
And
to get the,
have the building removed, because I
Okay.
can't afford to pay for rent and try to get the permits.
understood, okay. And I think other than, so if the building's removed, then the only remaining item would be
A little bit of,
the debris.
yeah, that's
Okay.
left, yes, sir.
And how long is it gonna take you believe to get the building moved?
They'll be there next week to get it.
Okay, so,
It's just a matter of me removing my personal items.
understood. Yeah, and I what I'm trying to think forward to is how much time you might need to bring the property. Yeah, and I think that's reasonable. So let me see what the county is I'm sorry, is there anything else, any other testimony or evidence you want to present? All right, Officer Bennett, do you have any questions for either Ms. Starnes or Mr. McDonald?
No, sir.
Okay. What's staff's recommendation on this?
30 days to remove all items from the property or obtain proper permitting and approvals from planning and building department, or a $500 per day fine to accrue until compliance is achieved. There's also a admin fee of $98.
And explain to me, you requested that this also be considered as a repeat violation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, explain to me why that's the case for this one, why we want to do that.
Mr. Alto has multiple properties that have had cases on it. This specific property was one of them that he kind of inherited and cleaned up himself. So, he's kind of aware of the land, to some degree, the land development code, and more specifically on this property before that he cleaned up was a junk and debris situation.
You're requesting that it be essentially designated as a repeat violator for junk and debris on the property?
Yes, sir. Oh, I'm sorry, and building permits.
All right. So, Mr. McDonald, do you understand what that means if I do find that you're going to be designated as a repeat offender or violator, should the property be brought into compliance, and then in the event the property goes back out of compliance, like you have more buildings out there, there's more junk and debris, or some other code violation, or those two specifically, then there are the potential for they can bring you before me or whoever, the special magistrate is, in an abbreviated manner. So they can put you on a fast track, and then also you're subject to stiffer fines or penalties. So they only do that very rarely. So I just want you to be aware that if I agree with them and find you as a repeat offender or violator, should you violate again, there's some enhanced penalties and things like that, not to say they will be imposed, but that they can at least ask for. So I just, do you have any comments on that?
Yes, because whenever I inherited this property, it was in very bad shape, and I cleaned it up. And then this year, now, she's been trying to get what she can
No, I understand
done
that.
with it, and so it wasn't in my hands. It wasn't in my hands, and help her.
No, I get it, and I think you guys
I
are
did
moving in the
my
right
own.
direction. I think that,
I went and cleaned up what needed to be cleaned up to help her with that, because she didn't have no way to haul nothing off.
understood. All right. Well, at this time, anything else, Officer Bennett?
Not for me, no, sir.
Okay, and again, you think 30 days would be
3 days,
sufficient?
because I have an apartment, I'll have my animals and my belongings.
Okay. again, I wanna make sure, if we can, we give you as much time as you need. You know, we don't wanna set you up to fail, but, you know,
I work at the prison, and I work from 2 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock in the morning. So I have very limited time, so
Yeah.
I have to, I can only do days off.
I understand. All right. At this time, I'll close the evidence portion of this hearing. I'll make the following findings of fact and conclusions of law. I'll find that the property located at 310 Tiger Lily Lane in Defuniak Springs, Florida is in the unincorporated area of Walton County, Florida, and is therefore subject to the Walton County Land Development Code. Based on the testimony and evidence presented, I will find that there was sufficient evidence to show a violation is at the property, specifically 1.1300A, development approvals 1.13.09C, building permit requirement 5.07.09C, exterior storage of junk and debris. The based on the testimony presented by Mr. McDonald and Ms. Starnes, appears that the issue regarding the building is going to be resolved fairly quickly, so we will provide 30 days to bring the property in compliance. That's going to put us at July 11th, right? So on or before July 11th, the building will need to be removed, and then any junk or debris is cleaned up, all right? In the event the property is not brought into compliance on or before July 11th, staff has requested a $500 fee. While I think it might be appropriate, I'm gonna cut that in half and make it a $250 fee per day. So if it's not if that building's not moved and the junk and debris is not picked up, $250 per day will be imposed on the property. Make sure to call the county code compliance, and then come back out and re-inspect that property, you know, when you get done, when you think it's ready. There's a $98 administrative fee, and that'll be required to be paid regardless of if the property is brought into compliance within 30 days. As you might have heard me say before, you can pay that at the clerk's office in Defuniak, or and that's just give that a couple days to get into the system. All right. Are there any questions?
Do I have 30 days?
Yeah, that'll be 30 days.
Okay,
To pay.
'cause with moving, I don't have the funds in 2 days.
No, I understand. So yeah, you'll have 30 days to pay that as well. You know, that'll be sufficient for you. Okay, great. And then I'm going to address the other request that if the property that the respondent be found in violation as a repeat offender, and the fines and conditions imposed as previously stated, and that will be related to repeat offense for 1.1300A, 1.1309C, and 5.07.09C. And so what that means, Mr. McDonald, is if there's a violation of any of those code sections, then you'll still have a hearing date, and you'll still have you'll have an opportunity to come in and make your case if there's an issue, but that just means it gives code a little more flexibility to bring you in a little quicker. Like, they don't have to give you as much time to get it fixed. So sounds to me like you've got a handle for the most part on it, so you understand what you can and can't do. So I'm hopeful that it's going to be a non-issue. Yes, sir. What's your question?
Yes, sir. At the moment, I'm not listed as a repeat offender. That we violate again.
Yeah, if there's another violation for any of those code violations. So if it's not junk or debris, if you're not bringing, trying to put stuff out there that requires a permit, then that's when it's going to trigger repeat offender. But if it's some other section of the code, then they'll give you the normal opportunity, that everybody else gets. But
I've learned a lot through all these things right here. I appreciate the education y'all gave me.
Yeah, and I know it can it's time consuming and it can be expensive, and that's why we're hopeful that, this will be the last time. So, all right, I've signed that order, and that resolves that case, and then I've got some orders over here to sign. With that being said, we're adjourned.